Structural Racism Theater is made possible with support from the Washington Regional Association of Grantmakers, who encourage you to have discussions about race and racism.
Hello, and welcome to Structural Racism Theater. I'm your host, Alistair Book. Tonight's tale begins in 1787, just over a decade after the Declaration of Independence declared that all men are created equal. The delegates from the North and the South gathered in Philadelphia to create a new frame of government. The Southern delegates believed that the more populous North would eventually threaten the institution of slavery. Will the delegates live up to their lofty ideals enshrined in their declaration? Let us find out.
See these folks? You may recognize some of them. They are preparing to debate how to count slaves for determining representation in the new United States of America. States with greater numbers would have more representation in Congress and in the Electoral College, but they would also be taxed more.
If we count the slaves, then the southern states will have more power in the new nation, and we can protect the institution of slavery forever.
Count the slaves? That's a crazy idea.
Just then, two northern delegates suggest a compromise.
We suggest a compromise.
We shall determine representation by adding to the whole number of free persons.
And 3/5 of all other persons.
We're counting the slaves? What about the Indians?
No, we can't count everyone here.
Agreed!
With this compromise, 3/5 of slaves were added to the political power of whites. Under this new math, each state was given 2 senators, as well as 1 representative and 1 elector to choose the president for every 33,000 persons. That means that this southern farmer who owns 500 slaves would have the same influence as 301 northerners. This all but guaranteed that the White House and Congress would be chosen by the South. The compromise also enshrined in the Constitution that Congress would not touch this issue of slavery for 20 years.
The promise of the Declaration was tarnished by this ugly compromise, just as the freedoms granted by the 13th and the 14th Amendments were shortly thereafter tarnished by Jim Crow laws. These laws were created to structurally exclude African Americans from real political power, and they are still excluded. Consider Mississippi, where over 9 out of 10 black voters cast ballots for President Obama, where the state electors who actually choose the president had already pledged support to Mitt Romney when they were selected. These and other considerations make it undeniable that structural racism has been with us since the beginning of our nation. Perhaps progress in your community has been hampered by structures of racialized origins. What will you do to solve it? That is all the time that we have this evening. Thank you for joining us for this installment of Structural Racism Theater. Until next time, I am Alistair Book. Good night.